for 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Johnson, Ranking Member Tonko, for letting me be here today, and the witnesses for being here. As my friend Congressman Curtis just said, affordability matters. So I'd like to kind of go off balance sheet here a little bit and focus my remarks on the so-called eRINs program being pushed by this administration. While the program is being portrayed as a way to drive electric vehicle integration, this is nothing more than a subsidy to EV manufacturers and an attempt to destroy the existing liquid fuels market. Instead of generating RINs at the point of blending, this proposal creates a convoluted process to award credits to the car manufacturers and other third-party participants like chargers and charging stations. Having spent my career buying and selling RINs, I'm keenly aware of how a complicated process like the one proposed by EPA could become rife with fraud and abuse like the very beginning of the RIN program. Even more, I fear buying obligations for eRINs would fall into existing liquid fuel refineries who could be forced to buy even more credits on top of the RINs that they may have to buy. The EPA's proposed rule to create eRINs for electric vehicles is a troubling proposal that extends far beyond the intent of the renewable fuel standard. The administration is looking to subsidize manufacturers in the EV chain to recoup their investments and make up for underwhelming sales. Instead of finding common sense solutions to lower emissions, such as being discussed by my colleagues today, the administration is taking one-size-fits-all approach to the transportation sector. Across the country and in my home state of Indiana, innovators are leading the way to develop new next-generation engines that can utilize a variety of fuels like Cummins Engine Company in my hometown, or Clear Flame in my hometown as well, trying to convert to ethanol in diesel engines. Ms. Eversole, as you know, the EPA has not committed to an additional proposed rule for eRINs and could go straight to a final rule without additional input from the public. If the EPA implements a system outlined by the set rule from 2022, how would this disrupt the existing fuels market and the industry you represent?
Congressman, thank you very much for the question, and we appreciate your leadership on H.R. 4469. It was extremely important, passed part of the fuels package. And look, there's an all-out assault on liquid fuels in this country right now. We see it in the form of EV mandates. We see it all across the country. We see it in states like California. But at the core, we share the objectives of reducing emissions in the transportation sector. That's clear and straightforward. But the RFS is really not designed for this sort of objective. And ultimately, we don't believe that the concept of eRINs is technology neutral. It is putting a thumb on the scale, so to speak, for the outcomes. We would rather see innovation driving, and you can look across our membership and see how we are, in the downstream in particular, making cleaner fuels. It was part of our objective in the API's climate action framework, and there's a lot of work to do. We just happen to believe there's a right way and a wrong way of doing so, and we don't think this administration's approach makes a lot of sense.
Do you think this is going to move forward at all, or do you think it's suspended at the moment?
We were supportive of EPA pulling out and separating the eRIN program from the rest of the RFS set, and so hopefully they don't come back together.
So initially, I was very concerned that not only it depends on who you're representing, whether the smaller refiners or the bigger refiners, but would this be incremental requirements for smaller refiners?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that, Congressman.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back, and seeing no further members seeking to ask questions, I do have one final question, and with the indulgence of our ranking member, I'm going to ask that really quickly here. Mr. Menzies, I didn't get to this earlier. This committee recently heard testimony on the administration's Clean Power Plan 2.0, and